should stay with us.
Top five has really been forced on us by Usain Bolt and Michael Phelps, the two Olympic titans who are just going nuts right now. So we've crafted our top five.
Yes.
Together again, greatest Olympians ever. And I go. I'm going to start right away with this Soviet gymnast, Larisa Latina.
Latina.
Yeah. That, by the way, that's what Olympic venues looked like back in the 50s and 60s when Larisa was doing her thing.
Oh, so elegant.
Yes. She won 14 individual medals, Carrie. 14 individual medals.
Wow. Wow.
All around twice, 56 and 60. You know who this guy is?
No, I do not.
That's the flying Finn, Paavo Nurmi.
Wow.
Paavo.
David, you went back.
Well, I went way back. 9 gold medals. On one day, he won the 5,000, took an hour break, and then won the 1,500.
Wow.
Who made that schedule? And he ran with a stopwatch in his hand, just to make sure.
Just because.
Number 3, the man, Jesse Owens.
Yes.
1936, Berlin. Thumbed his nose and Adolf Hitler up in the box. Won the 100, the 200, the long jump part of the 1x400 relay. Did his level best to ruin the Nazi Olympics. Number 2, here's the big debate. Is it Bolt or is it Phelps? I went with Usain Bolt, although I was saying earlier, there's no one in sports I'd rather watch do anything than Usain Bolt running those last 50 meters. Just unbelievable. But I went with Phelps because of all the medals, 28 in all, 23 gold, yada, yada, yada. I just felt like this guy's still splashing around at the age of 31. He gets my nod.
Yeah, and that is going to be the constant debate. Who is the better Olympian? Is it going to be Bolt? Is it going to be Phelps? It's subjective, I think. I mean, the way Bomani made a good case for it.
He did.
Here's my top five. I'm completely out of the loop here. Mine are all off, but here we go. Number 5, Carl Lewis.
Yep.
You remember that guy? Won 4 golds in the 1984 Olympics right in Los Angeles.
Hello.
But when will LA get the Olympics again? That's another story. We'll talk about that.
That's not in this top 5.
Coming in at number 4, Larisa Latina. Did we get it correct? Yeah.
You know,
listen.
Our judge will be able to give
us the right name on that for sure. All right, 14 individuals, as David just said. And coming in at number 3 for me, so this is where we do our back and forth. I went with Michael Phelps. Like, I absolutely agree.
Phelps at 3.
To me, 1, 2, and 3 are all the same, and I'll tell you why. Like, I mean, come on. I could argue that he's a top Olympian. I mean, I really could. But number 2 for me was Usain Bolt.
You got Bolt over?
Yeah,
okay.
I can flip and I can flop, but I'm going to go with number 1 for Jesse Owens because of the conditions, what he had to deal with, what he did at that time. I felt like, to me, when you are running under, there's always this pressure, right, at number 1, but you're running under these racist conditions, and it was hard. I couldn't even imagine what he had to deal with, but yet he pressed on and was able to get 4 gold medals in spite of. And so to me, to put it in perspective, it paved the way for the Usain Bolts and the Michael Phelps and everyone else. So that was my top 5.
It's a well-constructed argument. I have no complaints with it. Here we go. Our top 5 back-to-back. Harry went Jesse Owens, Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps. I went Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt, Jesse Owens.
I do all the same.
Paavo Nurmi thrown in on the side. Yeah. Carl Lewis, yada, yada. So, who we have here? We got Frank Caliendo as our guest critiquer.
There it is.
What your thoughts on the top 5s, Frank?
Well, I thought we'd do a little Morgan Freeman. Figure out what's the best way to possibly do it. But I don't know if you mentioned that I was going to be on the fantasy football thing that's coming up too.
Yes,
you're going to get to that. Frank trying to plug himself and not giving all the anchors their turn to do what they need to do. See, that was just terrible. That was going Charles Barkley. It's never your top 5 lists are knuckleheaded lists. Very good, but in a way kind of average. But then Caliendo, what it did was just stole what you said. So here we go.
Who do we have?
We're going to take a look at number 5 of the greatest athletes of all time in the Olympics. I would have to say, Larisa Latina. I'm not even sure how to say it. I just wanted to try and pronounce it.
Is that her name?
I wasn't sure if that was the way to go.
Well, you went with,
Never has a better name been for a man than Usain Bolt, and of course Sean O'Neill, table tennis.
Oh,
He's a friend of mine. That's why I put it in. I just want to make it Michael Phelps because we're on SportsCenter. You have to mention Michael Phelps and Jesse Owens, a man who ran in the most difficult conditions of all time and came away with 4 gold medals and 2 world records. There we go.
There you go.
Again,
So-
Sean O'Neill is
He's a friend.
friend.
He taught me how to play table tennis, how to play ping pong. So
Eddie Magnus or Eddie.
no. The medals aren't important. It's not winning that's important at the
It's
Olympics.
not?
It's participating. I don't know what you guys are thinking.
Yeah, Sean O'Neill, my bad.
That's how close it was. Allison Felix had never run the Open 400 at the Olympic Games until Rio. Her 4th Games. Got a gold last time in the 200, stretch it out. And Shawnee Miller of the Bahamas literally dives to gold. It's where your torso crosses the line. Doesn't have to be your feet. It's where the torso goes. And so Allison Felix, yet another silver. A lot of relay golds, one individual, but many, many runner-up finishes. Felix misses out on a record 5th gold medal by just a fuzz. Her 7 track medals, though, most by an American woman ever. Only U.S. man with more, Carl Lewis. 9 of his 10 medals are gold. And Ray Urey, who earned 8 medals, all gold, all prior to World War I. TJ Quinn is venue hopping in Rio on this Monday. TJ, dark, stormy night at the track, sets up for drama. Felix so close, her reaction afterwards.
Well, she was incredibly disappointed with herself. A good half hour after the race, she was still in tears talking about it. She said that she felt like she wasn't aggressive enough. She let the race get away from her. And you could kind of see it as she came around that second turn, that she looked like she was a good spot. And suddenly she looks up and Shawnee Miller is way out. She did an incredible job over those last really 70, 80 meters to almost catch her. If that race was about a foot longer, you would have seen Shawnee Miller face down on the ground and Felix crossing for gold. But she didn't make it. She never could close that difference. She said she really didn't notice the dive or wouldn't talk about the dive. She said she was just focused on herself.
Did anybody talk about the dive? Because I've got some folks that on my text are not so happy that they think he ought to win standing up.
Yes, we have international outcry thanks to social media. But Natasha Hastings came through right before Allison Felix did. And she said, look, you do what you got to do. And she said she even dove herself earlier. She said she's done it twice, once on purpose, once by accident, both equally painful.
You were also at gymnastics today. Simone Biles, she's achieved the status of someone who really now shocks us when she does not win. How did she take finishing 3rd?
Unbelievable grace. You know, when she stumbled on the beam, the gasp that went out in that arena was like nothing you ever heard. She knew that she hadn't done enough. When she came off the beam, went to her coach, she said that wasn't good enough for a medal. And then afterward, when she did take bronze, she said that the Brazilian gymnast who followed her, she said she should have won bronze. She said that the whole idea about winning 5 golds, that was more of a media thing, that it's not her goal. Her goal is to do her best. She's not the first athlete we've heard say that. But she feels pretty good about her shot at the floor exercise, which would give her 4 gold. It's still not too bad.
No, I think I would take that as a haul in one Olympics. TJ Quinn in Rio tonight. Flight to Como coming. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Joining us right now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, he's a 3-time Olympic gold medalist. He's an Olympic Hall of Famer. He and his energy max is through the roof on the NBC broadcast when it comes to swimming.
He'd be Olympic Hall of Fame broadcaster. That's coming as well because he's that good.
Rowdy Gaines returns here to ESPN Radio. And Rowdy, I greatly appreciate your time. And it's good to have some of that sports hate and conflict back in the pool. It almost took us back to when you were an Olympian in that Cold War era against the Soviets and Mother Russia. Michael Phelps to Ledecky to the swimming Simone. You've seen it all. Take us down there to Rio. What has this been like, and describe what you've seen?
Well, rivalry is so great for sports anyway, and when you have a little edge to it, it always adds to the drama. And certainly when we swam, the Soviets were the, quote unquote, evil empire, and that made it all the more dramatic when we did get a chance to compete against them. And yeah, it was a little bit high on the drama side here. Certainly with Russia and what's been said and talked about with them and the drug situation and Lily King kind of getting involved, and then you had Phelps and Chad McClough and that whole situation. So it really made great TV, and that's the kind of reality TV that people really love because it's so genuine and it's real, not like The Bachelor, which by the way is my favorite show, but it's really not that real.
So, Rowdy, what was your favorite season of The Bachelor? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Well, you know, I could talk about that for another 10 minutes.
Oh, boy.
Don't.
I love JoJo,
We're
you know?
good. We have so much to talk about in the swimming pool. And I'll piggyback what happened with Lily King and Yulia Efimova, who came out and said that she wished that Lily King came up and spoke to her. I know you were very complimentary of the way Lily King came out there challenging those who were caught for doping. Looking at how she handled it and what Efimova said, where do you think's the right way to go about that?
Well, when is the right way? I mean, it has to be the right way now because, again, I can't see us going back to 1976. Because in 1976, very few people remember 40 years ago, but that's when they started calling Shirley Babashoff Shirley, who ended up winning, 5 or 6 silver medals, to a bunch of cheaters. And she came out and said something, and they said, you just should keep your mouth shut. Well, this is the time to do it because people are paying attention. If Lily King said something 2 weeks from now, nobody's going to write about it. So we've got to get that message out now. And I was really, really proud of her. Maybe the timing wasn't great for her because she got bombarded on that instead of the great performance she put in. But I was proud of her for speaking up. And, it's the only thing that can ruin the Olympic movement is the cheating, because you can do the politics and the stealing and the bad cities and all that. Nothing's going to happen. But the performance-enhancing drugs in our sports, the true Olympic sports, could hurt it.
Rowdy Gaines, 3-time Olympic gold medalist, Olympic champion, NBC sports commentator here with us, looking back on the remarkable beginning and all the events that happened in the Olympics in the pool here on ESPN Radio with Max Bretos. I'm Ian Fitzsimmons, in for Ryan and Danny. And, Rowdy, when it comes to the dominance that Team USA had in the pool, describe what you just saw, because you've seen it all over the last, 4 or 5 games with Ledecky, obviously with Michael Phelps and everything else. So what was it like being there? And if you can, put it into basic terms, the level of dominance we just witnessed.
Well, here's the deal. So we've been, I say we, I don't know if I can say we anymore, but hey, it's over with.
You got 3 Olympic golds. You're good.
You're on the team.
That's right. USA Swimming has been number 1 in the world since 1956. Think about that, guys, for a second. 60 years they've been on top of the run for 60 straight years. No other sport, no other team I can even imagine, unless it's cricket or badminton, some sport I've never heard of, could say that. So all of a sudden, the Australians really said this was going to be their year, and on paper they had a chance to go by the U.S. This was the greatest team, in my opinion, in the modern era. And when I say modern era, I mean 1984 and on, because from up until 1976, you were allowed to put 3 swimmers on the team. So the 76 team men, for example, were the greatest because they swept 1, 2, 3 in so many events. But in the modern era, from 84 on, this was the greatest. 33 Olympic medals. I mean, they were relentless in every single race. So for swimming, which, we get to shine every 4 years, it was a great moment for the sport, and so many people should be credited. But most of all, it should be the athletes, and Phelps and Katie Ledecky certainly led the way.
Rowdy, I don't know if there's any way to resolve it, but there was so much star power in the pool that people can really associate with, from Phelps and Ledecky,
right.
Katinka Hosu, so many. The kid from Singapore I fell in love with. I thought it was a tremendous story. I thought his name is Schuling.
Yeah.
Is it any possibility to keep swimming and these athletes in the public eye more than every 4 years, because clearly America and the world has responded to them when this comes around?
It's a good point, and I wish that could come true. I think in many ways, obviously you guys know that Michael has changed the sport more dramatically than anyone or any entity in history. He certainly has transcended the sport. And he's even said himself that he wanted to change the sport, give the sport more visibility. He has done that. No better picture than those pictures of him with Katie Ledecky when she was little and Joseph Schooling when they were little, and then they came on and won gold medals. So he certainly did it that way. And I'm hoping his legacy will be one that will kind of do that. I think we're certainly in the golden age of swimming, because we not only have Michael, but now Katie's in that transcending area. certainly Missy Franklin, Ryan Lochte, some of the big names a lot of people have heard of. But really, we should be thanking Michael for all he's done.
And we have Simone Biles, right, doing what she does. We also have the swimming Simone that have made history. Yeah. What describe that and what that means for swimming going forward, what Simone did in the pool for the first time?
I can't begin to tell you what a thrill that was for me because, first of all, from a safety standpoint, African Americans, you guys, are 3 times more likely to drown than Caucasian children. 70% of African Americans don't know how to swim. And fortunately, foundations like the USA Swimming Foundation are doing something about that, going out and trying to educate that those underserved communities. But nobody can do that unless you've got a star that you can attach it to. Colin Jones and Maritza Cleia certainly paved the way. To have the first-time individual Olympic gold medalist that is a person of color, I can't begin to tell you how much that will help our sport, and it will also save lives, and that's a lot more important than winning gold medals. And she has been that figure that we can now, hang our hat on, and she can carry that mantle on her shoulders. And I couldn't be more proud of what kind of representative she is for the sport, and how well-spoken she is, and how gracious and humble she is. And it's I don't know, man. It's pretty cool, dude, to have that in our sport.
Rowdy, good to have you as well, and well said. And when it comes to Simone, it was an unbelievable story. And, hey, thanks for joining us from down in Rio. Great call throughout the entire games. And, by the way, tell Lochte, don't use a cab. Get a car service.
Maybe Rowdy could be waiting for him. Ryan, get in here. I'll take you back to the Olympic Village.
Uber, baby.
That may be the best advice you've given yet, Rowdy. We appreciate your time for being here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line here on ESPN Radio and
Rio's
ESPN
got Uber.
News. Uber, baby. You've been down there. And to get in a taxi cab?
Yeah.
No?
I did.
Not good advice, a smart move.
I think when I was in Rio, I was on my feet a lot, and I walked around. It felt pretty decent, but it wasn't really the high tourist season. Obviously, there was no Olympics going around. I went to Sao Paulo for a bachelor party. That was a different story, but there was 12 of us, so I felt safe. We had a couple taxis or a large bus that we'd hire. And the people at the hotel were very helpful in steering us in the right direction and anything we required or anything we were looking for.
Let's please,
in a
hurry.
Place to get a passport
quickly.
Stamped. My bad.
This is ESPN Radio and ESPN News.